Welcome to Bigfoot
and the Bunny.
This is a couple's journey into the mysterious,
The unknown, and the paranormal.
I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I'm your host, Kristen Johnson.
Together we are Bigfoot and the Bunny.
And we're live, I think.
We are.
Welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny. I am Chris Carr.
And I am Kristen Johnson.
I had a little bit of a rocky start there, and that's not unusual. The technical gremlins that seem to follow us around are always playing games. So we had a little trouble there. We had to restart the stream. Hopefully you're all out there. We have had the most interesting couple of weeks.
We have.
That we wanted to talk about.
Yes, we have been gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, a little mini hiatus. And the first week, we are at Sam Baltrus's Mass Paracon, set up and got to meet a bunch of great people. It was so much fun to get to meet
Andrea
Perrin
has,
and she is just a lady of love and light.
I'm going to tell you, because she got up and hugged us. We were sitting next to her. She got up and just hugged us, and you can feel her love, her energy. She's such a wonderful, wonderful person.
She is just like a shining ray of sunshine.
She
really is. She's just so nice to meet in person. And she gave us this hug. We were like, oh, we're all exhilarated.
And she was holding our hands and stuff. Oh,
it was awesome. We get to hang out with our buddy Nathaniel Gillis.
Yes.
Was there on a demonology panel, and we get to hang out with him. And we love that. As of course, he's our bud, our brother from another mother.
Yeah.
And got to also hang out with the guys from Duo Demonology, Carl and James, and a bunch of really cool people there. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing some people.
Mike Ricksecker was there. He was very, very sweet.
Set up with his new book. Carl is was featured in, I think, quite extensively. And those guys, Carl and James of Duo Demonology, who I think are coming back in November to talk to us, would go on to host an event that we were at this past week that was put on by Shay Carroll, our friend Shay.
Yes.
I love you, Shay. You're the best.
Shay.
And from Paranormal Buzz Radio. And that was at Wilson Castle in Proctor, Vermont. We were like the last people standing, right? I mean, we were up.
Honestly, everybody went to bed. Yeah.
So
it was day two for them.
Tired. We went up on the Saturday. They had done the, investigation Friday night, and Saturday we got to do this. We're going to do this. So Shay was kind enough.
Yeah.
And Shay's mom, Deb.
Yes.
To investigate with us into the very, very small hours. And boy, did some things happen. Things are really strange over there. It's a beautiful castle. I don't want to say it's haunted in a bad way.
No.
But for whatever reason, there was some phenomena occurring while we were on the third floor.
Yes, it was just
which is
us and Shay and her mom.
Work.
Yeah.
It's a creepy area. Anyway,
Well, there's a reason why.
Yes. So most of it we did. I mean, there's many rooms. It is a literal castle, guys.
It's
and there's
beautiful.
A lot to look at, and it is gorgeous. The stained glass, the antiques, a lot of the furnishings and antiques in there are original to the owners.
1887. Yeah. You have to see the architecture. Really nice. We have pictures.
So detailed. We do. We need to put some of those pictures up on our Facebook page, which, by the way, is facebook.com/Bigfoot and the Bunny. Plug. You can always find out what we're up to wherever you're watching us. And things got a little creepy. And But I've got some clips for you guys. We captured quite a bit of data. We were up there for a few hours, took a couple of breaks. I got some but not all the data ready for you guys today. And we're going to get into the spirit box data, I think maybe next week. When we break that down a little bit better. But we did get some EVPs. They weren't Class A EVPs. They're good, though. And it kind of told us that, there was something there with us. And to give you the setting, we were in what was once a ballroom. And it's this big room, and it's got a giant window, some stained glass and stuff. And we'll put up a picture of that. It's awesome looking, and there's all these adjoining rooms. Everybody is downstairs and on different floors, and they're sleeping, and it's quiet. And there were
Intense.
things moving and stuff in the other rooms, and like we knew like something was going on. It was freaking us out.
Yeah.
It was really weird. But the first EVP, I had this sort of trigger object that I brought with me, and it's this clown. You can see here, it's a little creepy, but I like it. I got a thing with clowns. I had some childhood experiences that were a little strange with clowns, so I had brought this clown as a trigger object. And to give you the setup, it's us, ourselves, Shay Carroll, her mom, Deb, and Celine. It's James Anito's girlfriend. Yes. Yeah, Celine was there with us. And Celine and Shay, at this point in the investigation, we're doing recording, and there's a couple of like REM things laying around. They have apps going. They have separate apps. Shay had Necrophonic. I'm not sure what the app was that Celine had. She had the ghost hunting app. But it was like, that's what it was called. It was like spelling out words for her, like a kind of Ovula style, and she was repeating what the words were saying on her phone. And Shay had the Necrophonic going, which of course just talks, and it's a bit of a creepy thing. And while we're not, big app people, I am of the mind that anything can work, and anything does work if it's just a matter of like proving it, right? So you need some kind of confirmation that the thing is working. Mm-hmm. Spirits can touch anything. They can manipulate anything. They can. And this is the first EVP, and I'm playing with this. I'm asking Spirit about the clown. I put the clown over here for you.
I don't think they like it.
Are you afraid of clowns? A lot of people are.
Christian should be.
Should be, but I'm not. Are you afraid of clowns? Okay, and I'm sure you heard the no there. I had to amplify it a little bit. Again, these weren't Class A EVPs, but they were good. It went on, and that first part, it actually says no 3 times, but the first one was the most pronounced, so I amplified that so you guys could hear it. Well, Shay's here. Matt Weldell's here. Good. Part of Buzz Radio as well. Excellent. Matt, he's great Matt, too. Shay, how you guys doing? And Deb is here. Oh, yeah. We got some chat going on over here, too. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Hey, Courtney. Hey, Shay. Hi, Courtney. Hey, Matt. Hey, guys. How you doing? We were also just talking with Ken Allen from the Wizards table. Oh, God, yeah. I think he comes on after us. I'm not sure if he should say. I think he may. But he'll probably pop in and say hi. Hey, Ken. And the Wizards table. We were singing songs to each other. Yeah. Oh my God, it was so funny. Just before he came on, we love that guy. He's great. This next clip is we call it the funeral home. Yeah. And again, it's hard to make out. Now, in that ballroom, there is a casket that they call a traveling casket, and it's made of straw, like a basket. And it came from a funeral home. It was donated in 2016. Andy told us about it, and he told us after the fact that people have commented that there's attachments to it. And we think that may be why, and this is why, because I'm asking, like, who likes this room or something to that effect, and you listen close, you'll hear the word funeral, and I think it's what it's saying is the funeral home. Thank you. I was going to say room. We're all discombobulated here with the rough start. So here's that clip. Whose room was this? Whose room is this? Amplified. Yeah. So I don't know how well that's coming across on the stream. They are subtle, but they are there, and maybe we'll post some of those clips so you can hear them. Yeah, make sure you need headphones, definitely. It's tough with the live show sometimes with the EVPs unless they're like really, really clear and loud. And we didn't really get too many of those, but we got some other data. Go ahead.
No, Robert Home. Everybody's saying, I'm here, Robert Home. Elaine
guys.
Carr. Hello, Miss Elaine
Hello.
Carr.
Hope you're doing well this afternoon. Okay, so yeah, we got into, let's see, how do we have this with the, what was talking? It was the spirit box, right?
Oh, it was that Matt Woodell.
Was it the spirit box that says, no, it's not. We're
Oh,
not
no,
to
it's
the
a
spirit box.
necrophonic.
That's right, because Celine says drop, right? We're leaving.
You got to hear
So
this.
this is still the necrophonic talking. And this was kind of interesting. So
It's
what
gonna be a
happens
big
is
bang.
the necrophonic says Chris, and Shay thought it said Kristen. You'll hear Shay go, oh, it said Kristen. And then it goes Bigfoot. Right? Like, what?
Come on.
Just
Right?
personalizing things. So I looped it twice. The second time I took Shay out just so you can just hear the necrophonic by itself. And that's this clip here.
Kristen. Just said,
Now that leads into the event we really wanted to get into. So at this point, Celine's got her up. I think she's sitting on the floor.
She's sitting on the floor. Yeah.
It's going to play this, and then you're going to hear a couple minutes later, she's going to say drop, and it says drop on her phone. There's a chair up there, and Deb, Shay's mom, is sitting in this chair. Kristen had sat in the chair earlier. It was a sturdy chair. It's not broken. And it collapses, and she drops, and the necrophonic says drop.
As soon as she drops.
It happens.
Now, this is
And
the one I
then-
was talking. It's going to be a big bang. So
yeah, it's gonna be a big
beware.
bang. And then it says Deb, her name right after it.
Yep.
So I'm gonna play that clip, and then we're gonna get onto some really cool UFOlogy stuff. So bear with us. Last clip for today.
Kristen. Just said Kristen. Is your recorder close so you can listen back?
Yeah,
Please.
on a chair.
I'm pretty sure it's a Kristen.
It says basement.
No, baby.
Rock.
You okay?
What happened? Deb?
Rock.
You okay?
What happened? Deb?
Okay, so I hope you caught all that. The two drops from two different apps, and the chair, and Deb, who's out there. Deb Banks, hello, Deb.
Deb said, call her Crash.
Call her crashed. And
I gotta stop laughing just
it
now.
was like the chair was trying to eat her or something. It was,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. I mean, we had to help her up, and the chair just like exploded. It was crazy.
She dropped right through the chair.
Yep. So that was just one of many things. I think the biggest thing that really shook me and Kristen was this, all the noise in the other rooms.
Oh,
the
my God.
activity. We left the recorder going. We left the castle and went outside, get some air, and come back, and there's banging going on. And we heard some of this stuff in real time, and we're just puzzled by it. Like, what was that? And I thought I heard somebody over here, and it was really loud and pronounced, and there was nobody up there. So
And when we
we
came
even
back,
went and looked to make sure
Yeah.
somebody hadn't snuck up, and there was nobody there. So it was really
when we came back,
very strange.
they have adjoining rooms from the ballroom. There's two adjoining rooms. And when we came back, I had a flashlight because I literally heard footsteps like scuttling. I told Chris, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you hear this? It was our thing.
the scuttling.
It's scuttling. It's
was
like, yeah,
a lot
it
of
was.
scuttling
I'm like,
going
oh
on.
my God, that was like so crazy.
But no, we had a great time, and
Oh,
thank you again,
yes.
Shay.
Yes. And
Deb
Matt,
and
Deb.
for lending us that spirit box, which is awesome.
Yes.
I think it's called the Necrocom. It's from Supernatural Inc. And it's Katie Stafford, who has a team, and he consults for one of the shows out there, and he makes some really interesting spirit boxes. I'm trying to chase that fella down because I want one too. That was a wicked cool toy. And,
It is.
It works differently than a lot of.
Thanks again,
a lot
Matt,
of
for letting
products
us
out
borrow
there,
that.
So we appreciate it. But we've got a wonderful guest for you, and we want to bring him on. Let me just bring something up here. And his name is Les Velez, and he will share stories and discuss Opus, the organization for paranormal understanding and support, as well as its mission to reach out to people to provide help and support to those that have encountered extraordinary paranormal experiences. And he's been very involved with like MUFON and different things. He's going to tell us about that. It's very, very cool. He's a super cool guy. So let's bring him right on.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Hi, welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spoke
It's
with
good
them.
to see you again.
It's good to see you too, my friend. Thank you. And thank you for being patient with us.
Yes.
I know that was a rocky start, and that's unfortunately not all that unusual around here. But we got things rolling, and we're here. We're live.
Super.
So, we know you started out working with MUFON, and you've got a really interesting biography going up here. I was hoping you could maybe tell us about that and how you got involved in all this.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I'd have to start, quote unquote, at the beginning. I was 11 years old, and this is when I was living in Connecticut, and I saw this oval, whitish object hovering over a tree line, and it was making no noise, and it slowly drifted away. And this was a late October evening, and it scared the hell out of me. And I ran into the house and tried to get my father to come on out. And by the time he came out, it was gone. And so he said, well, it was probably a beacon of light reflecting off a cloud. Well, it didn't sit right with me. And I went to the library soon thereafter and picked up books on UFOs. And back in those days, George Adamski was the big author talking about his relationship with the Venusians. And needless to say, I was totally intrigued. And so after a bit, became a little bit older, and girls became more important in my life than UFOs. I went off to college and, was in the ROTC, and soon thereafter got married, went to work for Procter & Gamble and selling Head & Shoulders and Crest toothpaste.
Wow.
And in Reading, Pennsylvania. And so anyway, this job at Procter & Gamble wasn't my cup of tea. And shortly thereafter, I went to work for a company back in Connecticut called Magitech that made analog and digital panel meters. And I was there for 13 years, became the national sales manager. And upon my leaving, they offered me the VP slot. Well, I turned it down and went out to California in 1985 and to work with a company that was a manufacturer's rep company, selling passive electronic components like power supplies and LCDs and switches to people like Apple and Cisco and things of that nature. So a lot of electronic background. I picked up the Mercury News one day, and Stanton Freeman, who was a nuclear physicist, came to San Jose to talk about UFOs and the government cover-up. Well, it's like the switch was turned off. When I went to college, I wasn't that interested in the UFOs topic. But when I picked up that paper and read that, I said, oh my God, I got to go see this guy. And he was going to speak at San Jose City College. And I expected to see a handful of people there, but the auditorium was full. And he gave an incredible presentation about how much the government is covering up about the UFO phenomena. And so MUFON had a table in the foyer. This is an organization that started in 1969 by a couple of engineers to study UFOs. And they have a monthly journal that they produce. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to get this journal. I'm going to start reading about cases, because they publish cases in the journal. And well, after a while, that wasn't enough for me. And MUFON has a field investigator training course. And so I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a field investigator. And as it turned out, most of the cases, without exception, that I got involved with, not only were a sighting, but there was an abduction attached to it. And this is when things got really interesting. And one of the cases that I got involved with was a couple that were amateur pilots, and they were picnicking at a state park, Butano State Park, just north of Santa Cruz, and they were coming out. It was getting close to dusk, and they noticed this light over the ocean, and this light, started to get bigger and bigger, and well, shortly, in very short order, this light became a triangle, a large triangular craft about the size of a Learjet. And it went over their head into this canyon behind them. And so they were dumbfounded, needless to say. And then they noticed another light over the ocean. The same scenario happened. This thing came in. It was about the size of a Learjet. And the first one, they felt they were looking at it. And the second one, they felt it was looking at them. And they became a little bit frightened. And this happened 5 more times. And these craft were sitting in this canyon behind them, just kind of, this is a butterfly effect where they kind of levitate back and forth. And they were all in this horizontal position. And then all of a sudden, they all went up in a vertical position. And it's like they went around a corner and disappeared, but there's no corner to go around. So after that, they decided, okay, this is great. This is enough. Are we seeing things? Is this really happening to us? And they started to walk out of there. And this particular trail, and I've been up there with them to investigate this particular case. And coming out of there, it's a pretty treacherous path out of there. Even during the daylight, it's very dark because it's highly vegetated and overgrown. And so anyway, they said they felt like they were floating out of there. And that's the last thing they remember. 3 hours later, they find themselves in a restaurant in Pescadero, which is only about a 10 to 15 minute drive. And they can't remember what happened for those 3 hours.
They had lost time.
They had lost time.
Thing with that.
Yeah. So a lot of these cases, the people, first of all, they think they are going crazy, number one. A lot of them go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and, to ascertain whether or not they are. And what happens, they find out they're not crazy. They don't have a psychopathology. All right. So then what? What's next? What can you do with that information?
How do you explain it exactly?
Yeah.
How do you wrap your head around it?
Exactly. So what these people asked me was, did I know of other people having similar experiences? And I said, yes, I do. And the next thing I know, I'm facilitating a support group in San Jose. And that's when things really got interesting, because I mean, of all the books that have ever been published, including mine now, which just came out, by the way, The Unknown Other. I'll show you that later.
Okay.
The stories that these people would tell you are just absolutely incredible, and it bends your mind. Can I believe this? But the fact of the matter is, these people, they're not looking for notoriety. They're looking for answers. They're looking to reduce stress. They're looking for empathy. They're looking to dig in further and find out really what happened when they had that missing time. And so these kind of things are what's really important. So the same couple, okay, they came to the support group meeting, and they had developed a rash after this incident. Well, I said, okay, right, all right, you got a rash. There's poison oak up there. There's poison ivy. You could, whatever you were doing,
Was it all over their body or just?
No, this is the interesting part. It happened to basically be in the genital area, in the inner thighs, and so they had gone to a doctor. Matter of fact, 2 doctors, and the first one said, well, I think it's something external, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. And then the second one said, well, it's maybe some allergic reaction to something. And so they never got a definitive answer. And the guy took a picture of the rash, and he showed it to the people in the support group, and almost without exception, every one of them said that at one time or another they had that same kind of rash. And so one of the people in the group says, well, I know what that is. And so we said, okay, what do you think it is? He said, oh, no, I know what it is. It's a reaction to the fluid that they dip you in when they bring you on board the craft.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
gosh.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
So
I thought that have some sort of sexual relevance because
Well,
that shows up, and
yes.
like, a lot of people
Yeah.
communion or read Whitley Strieber's book on that.
Right.
And
Communion.
there's like
Exactly.
the sexual side and the operations of things. What always got me is like, why did he want to go back? It didn't look like a good experience, but this is something that's pretty common, right?
Mhm.
Good experience.
absolutely. Like I say, the thing that we find with the experiencer is that there's this incredible desire to better understand what's going on. It's the question of why me. What can I do to prevent it? In a lot of cases, although there's been many studies, including one that I just finished part of, phase 1 of the omega-4 study, which we're going to publish. And we find that almost like 80% of the people, maybe not in the very beginning, but after maybe 10 abductions, they have no desire whatsoever to stop the abductions from going on. So there's only maybe 20% of the people that are having experiences like that want it to stop. And that's to me a very interesting fact. And this phenomena is worldwide. It is absolutely worldwide. There's no country immune to this going on. There may be cultural differences with regard to the reporting of things like this, but the bottom line, folks, something is going on. Is it extraterrestrial? Oops.
We're still here.
We can hear you.
Okay. Are they
Right.
extraterrestrial? Are they interdimensional?
Interdimensional.
Are they time travelers? Are they the military? Or are they all of the above, which I tend to believe? I think it can be anything. And it can be ghosts. It can be demons. It can be, you name it. All of this is part of a large puzzle that we truly, fully do not understand.
Exactly. That's what we wonder if there are different beings and if they are entities, like you just said, ghosts, demonic, anything, but we don't know. And we're sure in the heck trying to find out over here. But it's true.
No, absolutely. And I mentioned the omega-4 study, which is a follow-on to the omega-3 study, where we took 71 people that felt that they had been abducted, and 51 people as a control group, those that had no kind of experience like that. And we basically found out some very interesting things. And let me just read some of the conclusions to you. In general, abductees' experiences profile differently than do their comparison counterparts on a number of general psychological and specific neurological variables. Yet there are remarkable similarities between the experiential group and the comparison group. It should be noted that in no case did experiencers or comparison group participants show any signs of mental illness or personality disorder. So these people are not crazy. So, what is going on with them? Fantasy proneness, which a lot of debunkers talk about, that, oh yeah, these people are just fantasy prone. They're just coming up with this stuff, from wherever, does not appear to play a differentiating role between the experiential and the control groups. However, sensitivity to alternative realities and early and recurrent paranormal or psi experiences seem to play a role in the abduction experience. Childhood conflict, psychosocial tension and abuse and trauma more than likely facilitate a dissociative coping style in later life. And when we say dissociative coping style, this is, again, not a psychopathological dissociation. It's just an ability to change their focus and their view. How much a part? Yes, go ahead. Do we just say something?
Manifestation, you mean, in a way?
Well, no, it's not. No, it's just basically being able to, you have a stressful situation and you move over here to alleviate that stress. You do something else. So
Okay.
they have a coping style that works. How much a part of dissociation plays in the abduction experience remains an open question, but the Ring-and-Rosing abuse trauma dissociation pathway remains a viable descriptive, if not explanatory, principle. Both experience with and interest in abduction phenomena have impact on how one's body is perceived to function, how one views the world and one's purpose in it, and how one defines or redefines one's faith, tradition, and beliefs. In essence, both experience with and interest in contact seem to change one's sense of self, and one's worldview. Abductees, experiencers believe that there is a sentient, purposive alien intelligence at play in their lives and at work in the world. What the intelligence's goals are seem to be more beneficent than malevolent, more benign than malignant. This, though, remains an open question and a point of doubt in the minds and hearts of some abductees, experiencers, and some comparison control participants. It also remains a point of contention among abduction researchers. The brain, and this is an interesting one, the brain generally and the temporal lobes and limbic system more particularly play a mediating role in anomalous experiences such as an abduction. This in no way implies that the abductions are all or only in the abductee's head. Rather, it points to the likelihood of temporal lobe lability as a preset or precursor to extraordinary experiences. While it would be too reductionistic to claim that the brain creates such experiences, it is not far-fetched to think that the brain plays an important part in the who and the what of extraordinary experience and how they are interpreted. So, in this study, was funded by MUFON back in 2007 that I facilitated and got the ball rolling on. And as I said, we're now in the process of doing finished up the first phase of the Omega-4, which we went out to therapists that have worked with experiencers and got their feedback. And now what we're going to do is to go out to their clients, okay, that they have worked with, and then have them answer a survey that we're in the process of defining all the questions. And so what we're trying to do here is to not only understand what's happening with the experiencer, but also how to best work with these experiencers and give that information to therapists. And so that's a big part of what we're doing. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. I was going to say, so let's break down a couple of the things we just kind of covered. So these, with the experiencers, for one thing, this is not a new phenomenon. This goes back hundreds of years that we know of, maybe thousands.
Millennia.
Yeah.
Millennia. Yeah, I know we recently talked about the first UAP sighting in North America a few shows back with Peter Muse about these guys that are rowing up the muddy river outside of Boston, and they see a pig, because that's what they know.
A flaming pig.
A flaming pig. That's right. It was fire. They don't know what a UFO is.
Right.
You know?
Back in the 1600s.
And they lose time. You know,
Right.
They end up way down the river. They have no idea how they got there. You know, that's just here in North America, and then we can get into other cultures and stuff like that. But this phenomenon has existed for a long time. We're hearing more about it now because more people seem to be talking about it. It's gotten some press recently with the disclosure information. But what you're finding is that these people are often in groups. So it's not one person that has the experience. It could be multiple people. They have the similar experiences. They report having some kind of PK sort of powers after the experience. They report, if I'm not mistaken, like similar to communion. Those experiences may, on paper, don't look really good, but they're very interested in going back. Like they don't necessarily dislike the, space intelligence, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, people have come away with telepathic capabilities, being empathic, being able to be a healer. This is a very common trait that occurs after this type of an experience, and you wonder, is this something that is initiated by the experience, or is this something that was created way back when, maybe by the quote unquote aliens, and they're following people for generation upon generation. And this is a very common thing too, that if a person comes to us, 9 times out of 10, they'll also relate the fact that, well, my grandfather was able to do that, and my grandmother, or my mother, or my sister. It's something that these non-human intelligence seem to be following. And as you said, these traits that come about, is it really something that is created on the spot, or is it something that has been there but is awakened? And there's been some studies by Gary Nolan at Stanford University talking about the caudate putamen area of the brain, and that these people that seem to be more telepathic and empathic, they have much more connections in that area of the brain than people that don't have that ability. And so is that something that was manipulated, eons ago? And, because there's always, Ancient Aliens talks about the fact that the aliens have come down here and they manipulated, that monkey way back when, and now it's us.
Exactly. It's the Anunnakis came down and
Exactly.
our genes from Neanderthals.
DNA changes.
Right.
Yeah,
I've read the free studies and some of the stuff, and I know there's quite a few different psychic phenomena that seems to be characteristic. Right, we're talking about things like remote viewing and automatic writing. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other things that you see abductees seem to pick up since the abduction? Well,
I mean, some of the physical traits, that people have are. Matter of fact, I just got a request. I'll read this to you. I just literally got this as we were waiting to come on. Lester, I have been referred to you by Linda Moulton Howe. She has been a trusted person I have spoken with for some time now. I would like to get an understanding of what you do when you have some time. I recently found out I have a foreign object in my left hip, and I got several military doctors really excited when I went in, thinking my appendix was causing me problems. It ended up being a torn muscle, but the doctors were really excited about this object that behaved in ways they could not explain. If you have a moment, please provide me a good time to chat. And I've been getting things like that for years, and you mentioned this UAP report that recently came out by the federal government. I have been deluged with people asking for assistance, and that's one thing that my organization, nonprofit organization that I started in 1994 with a doctor friend of mine, called OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support, has been dealing with. And how we deal with it is that we have a resource list of therapists around the country, and we also have an online support group, which is totally confidential. The only way you get into it is by going to our website, which you're scrolling across the bottom of the screen here. Thank you very much.
Right.
And, that's opusnetwork.org. And it's phenomenal how many people, and I have to thank Linda Moulton Howe, who actually wrote the foreword to my book, The Unknown Other, and the existential proposition of alien contact. She had me on her show 2 weeks ago, and oh my God, it's just been unbelievable how many people have come out of the woodwork now, saying, I didn't know where to turn, I didn't know who to talk to, but we're here to help these people, and that's very important. So besides an implant, which obviously this gentleman is talking about, and he's in the military, which which is interesting, that you have all types of physical manifestations, marks on the body, the triangular marks. I have a presentation that I do where I show a lot of these types of marks, some of them very unusual, and then you have nosebleeds that are very common with these people, and then you have psychological things that are going on, fear, anxiety.
Mhm.
And the number one thing I mentioned earlier was the fact that these people, when they do go to a therapist, the number one thing they're looking for is to reduce the stress, number one. Number two, to have an what's the word I'm looking for? Not a pathetic,
Empathic.
yes. Well, someone that's going to listen to them. Okay.
Sure.
That's so important.
Absolutely.
And not judge them.
Exactly.
And then the next thing is to try to dig in deeper and uncover things that maybe are buried for whatever reason. Now, one of the things we when we talk to these people, we tell them you have to be very sure that you want to hear maybe something that has been buried, because once you take the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't put it back in, and it might be something you don't want to hear. So, yeah. The cases run the gamut. I mean, you talk about the Greys, you talk about the reptilians, you talk about the mantids,
And
but
yes,
the latest thing, what we found through all of this, is the fact that the Greys seem to be the number one. Matter of fact, I was talking to my research buddy on this omega-4 study the other day, and he says, the Greys are involved with everything. It's like everybody has an iPhone. So all these aliens have Greys. They go out, okay, I need this Grey over here to do this, and so it's like your iPhone or your Android phone. But orbs are really have sort of taken off, if you will.
yes.
As far as things that people are seeing. A matter of fact, I've even been involved with one where I was sitting on the back porch. This is in Sedona, and of this person's house, and this person had the ability to feel when something was going to happen, and so they stationed themselves at the corner of her house, and I was sitting further away, and she just started snapping a picture, one right after the other. Mm-hmm. And this red orb with like this little yellow cap on it was above my head, and in the one shot, the little cap was, right on top, and then the next one, it was on the side. And so, and she didn't move, and I didn't move, and so it was moving. And
wow,
yeah,
that's really interesting. I remember, and I can't remember her name, the woman's name. I know I saw the story at one time, and I think it was in the 70s.
It was 70s, yeah.
Because when we would run out with her camera and start filming, and I think we were talking about like something like Super 8 film, maybe even older than that.
Yes.
And she would just have the idea that, okay, I need to go outside and capture it. And to this day, they really can't debunk this film because it's like Super 8, and it's not the kind of thing you could, superimpose something over, and it seems to be very legit, and it reminds me also of
Chris Bledsoe,
and I was going to say Ted Owens. Wrote the book PK Man about, studied extensively who would manifest these things, and he would just seem to know, and other people would see them too. That was the time.
Well, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier off the air, that all these things I think are connected, and these abilities, whether it's remote viewing, take a look at psychics. how do psychics tap into not only the past, the present, but the future? There is
Right.
there is no time. I mean, there's this ability to just poke their finger into whatever they've been asked to do. I have a interview series that I do that's on YouTube and also on our website opusnetwork.org. Patricia Mona out of Canada, and she's helped police find bodies and things of that nature. And she told me a story one time about uh, a mother that had come to her and asking a question that was not something that Patricia didn't told her about that particular question she had, but then Patricia also added that there was a problem with her son, and the woman said, yes, yeah, he's got some issues, major issues. And Patricia said he's got some real issues and really needs to be looked after. Well, long story short, the child eventually committed suicide. And how do you how does one tap into that? It's almost like, I don't know if you heard the story about the doctor that was on this lady doctor that was on a kayaking trip down in South America and went over a falls and then was under the falls for 30 minutes. And during that time, she saw these wonderful light beings, and there was this incredible love that was being emanated from them. And she was ready to go. And they said, no, you have to go back. There's things that you have to do. And then they told her that when her son turned 18, that he would die. And I mean,
How do you process that?
how do you process that exactly?
Right.
And so she kind of disregarded it. All right. Sure enough, and she never said anything to her son. And when he turned 18, he got into a car accident and died.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's sad. Oh,
So, I
that's
mean,
insane, though.
Pretty tragic.
yeah. So, I think this consciousness that we're dealing with is all encompassing. And whether you call them ghosts, whether you call them angels, whether you call them demons, whether you call them aliens, grays, it's all part of the same giant puzzle.
They're connected.
Yeah, they're very much connected. And that's what happens too. I mean, a lot of these people that claim that they've been involved with aliens, not only are being, having those types of experience, but they're also having ghost experiences, and they're having orbs experiences. You name it. Once you open up that ability, I guess all kinds of things can come in. It's
like opening a portal, which is something people talk about a lot in the paranormal. They'll say you've opened a portal, you've got the
vortex or
window areas where
Sure.
you're getting all sorts of phenomena. It could be Bigfoot, could be UFOs, could be poltergeist activity. It's very, very strange. With the implants, you have an unusually high amount of people that have these implants. I know we had Terry Lovelace on. It was wonderful, a wonderful guest, and he was showing us X-rays of an implant, like in his knee. Some metal in there, and
Right.
they didn't want to remove it because the doctors just didn't feel like it was worth the health risk of it. Have you come across abductees where it has been removed, or seen what
is it made out of,
and what was it made of? And
what my personal experience has only been with the work that Roger Lear, the late Dr. Roger Lear, did, and he's presented at various conventions and conferences with these objects. And then Daryl Sims down here in the Houston area has a whole plethora of these implants. And in my book, I go over some of the 17 different things that these implants have. The material is the combination of materials is absolutely weird. They seem to be transmitting in some cases some kind of a signal. So is it a tracking device? Is it a manipulation, being able to manipulate the person in some way, shape, or form?
Right.
How do they know that? Is there EMF or electromagnetic waves coming off of
Yes.
the implant?
Yeah, just frequencies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've noted that, and various labs have looked at the material and saying, this is highly unusual combination, number one, and some of it they don't even recognize. So
Wow.
there's so many questions. There's so many questions. You talk about poltergeist. I was going to mention a story. I was written up in the MUFON Journal a couple of years back, and one of the questions they asked me is, who would you like to meet in MUFON? And I said, I'd like to meet Dan Aykroyd. so anyway, it was probably a couple of months after that I got a message from the international director saying that Dan Aykroyd would like to contact you. Is that okay if I give him your phone number and stuff? I said, sure. I'm not going to say no.
Right?
So,
that's really cool. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Dan Aykroyd is a big paranormal enthusiast. And
oh, absolutely. And he's a member of MUFON. And
which
so,
is the UFO network, for anybody who doesn't know, maybe it doesn't know ufology too well. It's
right.
kind of the largest long-standing organizations
Right.
Committed to ufology.
Exactly. So anyway, I didn't hear anything for a while, and then I was in a greenhouse looking at some plants or something, and the phone rings, and it's Dan Aykroyd. So we ended up talking for quite a while, and I come to find out that he's had an experience. He was in Canada, and he said this thing looked like a freaking flying mattress, and it was just silently coming down the road, and I guess scared the crap out of him. And he further told me that his parents, his mother has had experiences, and his father has written a book about ghosts and mediums, which he sent me a copy of. And evidently, Ghostbusters is based on a lot of the stuff in this book.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So interesting.
that is cool.
So anyway, a little side note there.
Yeah, thank you.
So you saw like a mattress-like shape. And
yeah, it was a rectangular, a long rectangular shape.
And there are these different styles of UFO, and it's something we've talked about on the show through time, right? So we started off with like the flaming pig, and later we get into things that look more like the nuts and bolts kind of UFO, and then you see the triangles,
the saucer,
and, we get out of the saucers and into other things,
and then the cigar shapes
and rectangles.
The triangles.
Do you find any commonality to that? Do you encounter abductees that still see the kind of nuts and bolts?
Oh yeah,
and type of
sure.
Space.
Yeah, well, there's still disc shapes and cigar shapes and triangular shapes, but the number one thing right now are orbs. Orbs seems to really have taken off, so to speak, and followed by triangular craft. Those are the two large ones right now. Oh, by the way, Terry Lovelace is on our advisory board. By the way, I know Terry just lives down the road, so to speak, here in Texas. So yeah, I'm good friends with him. So
that's really nice. He's really great. Yeah,
we love that interview. That was one of our faves.
I did an interview with him too on the Opus interview series. So
awesome, really interesting guy, and he's a good example of somebody like the phenomena started in his childhood, and it just never really left altogether. He could just be riding his bicycle and kind of go into almost a trance state. What it sounds like the way he describes it.
Yeah.
And he's lost time, 6 hours or something has gone by, and he has some weird memory about it.
Right.
Very
exactly.
strange that it follows like people in that that regard. And
Mhm.
sometimes I think one of the stories I hear a lot is that they're in that kind of half awake, half asleep mode. You know, where you're kind of like letting your guard down, your consciousness kind of opens up to more things, and there seems to be like a vulnerability. You know, some people are afraid to go to sleep because they think, you know, a hat man's going to get them or something.
Heidi Hollis. Yeah.
Heidi Hollis. And it was also a cool person.
Yeah.
You got to have Heidi back on. But do you find that common, or does it make a difference? Are these things?
Well, I mean, people can be driving along, and all of a sudden they have missing time, or they have compressed time, or time is manipulated in a it seems to be quite regularly in these abductions, and so yeah, it's very common to go into this trance-like state. I mean, sometimes if you're on a long trip, and you got a road that's basically straight, and you're driving down, and you got to be careful that you don't go get sort of road hypnotized. And
yes,
you go into autopilot. Like I used to work, and it was a long commute. It was like an hour and a half, and every day commuting. And the time would just, you blink, and you're like, oh wow, I'm here, and an hour and a half had gone by because you're in autopilot. You're lost in thought. I think that kind of opens you up to maybe other things, other entities and such.
Oh, it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible, along with all the other things that have gone on in your life, could precede that, in your childhood, your relationships, whether or not you had any trauma or, things of that nature going on. I remember growing up that my parents, they had issues every once in a while, and I would try to be the peacemaker, which was stressful. And I'm surprised this is another story I should tell you. One of the support group meetings, we had this woman in a group said, "I've seen you before." I said, "Oh, where? At a UFO conference, grocery store, someplace like that?" "Oh, no. I saw you on board the craft." I said, "Really?" I said, "Oh, that's interesting." I kind of blew it off. And so it probably was a year and a half, 2 years later that a totally different person said the same thing to me. I said, "I've seen you before." I said, "Where?" UFO conference. No. You were on board the craft. You were sitting on this bench naked, and you were freaking out. And they told me to go over to you to calm you down. Okay. So
wow.
At that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to go get regressed. And I was regressed 3 times. Okay. Found nothing along the lines of being involved with aliens or things of that nature, but I had multiple past lives. I was a samurai warrior. I was a Spanish restaurant owner. I was a Greek soldier. I had a lot of military stuff going on in my life, and of course, in this life, I was in the Army. I was an artillery officer, and so. But yeah, and that's another part of this whole thing. Past lives, that people talk about, and coming back and being able to tell stories about what happened to them, way back when. I mean, this is very prevalent. Matter of fact, Terry was involved in a book that a gentleman, the other gentleman in the book, and I can't think of the name of the book. It's supposedly a really good book that talks about his son claiming to remember this World War II pilot, and was able to say everything about this guy, and he,
little boy.
Story.
Yeah.
Really, really intriguing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
he remembered him. He remembered his the people in the squadron. He knew the names, and knew he had died.
Right, and it was in the water. Yes.
Yeah.
The plane had crashed.
Fascinating. And there's some comments in the chat.
We have
about
comments.
Orbs, so I'll just bring those up real quick. Tammy Young says, "These orbs seem to have a personality and communication skills. So interesting." And Shay, our friend Shay says orbs are different for everyone, and they certainly are. And the kind of orbs we're talking about are not like the kind of orbs you capture in, like dust orbs in paranormal investigation. These are like, I would describe them as brightly colored lights, almost gelatinous looking. Would you agree?
Well, I've seen videos of this, and Kathleen Martin has a wonderful video of this orb, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and almost it's a combination of brilliance and almost translucent, and it went into this person's body, directly into the body, and this person had cancer. And after this happened, shortly thereafter, he didn't have cancer anymore.
Wow!
Oh
yeah, these are the type of things that those are the kind of orbs that we're talking about.
Sure, and those are the
definitely not
type of experiences that people have, right? So there's also good things. There's miraculous healing.
Yes,
people, find this increased psychokinetic ability a lot of times, right? Which is not a bad thing. They're able to maybe have out of body experiences or astral projection and things skills that they didn't have before the abduction. But I think there's a certain amount that do say, this was bad, and it was
yes,
or there was
yes,
they saw the babies in the jars and the brown water and that kind of stuff and the creepy stuff. What do you find? Is it a small percentage, and why do you think their experiences are different?
Well, I think it's just like we have here. We have good people and we have bad people, and people are having bad experiences. You turn on the news here in the Dallas area. First thing they talk about is who got shot last night. Right. And so I think that's the same thing that's going on out here. We have good quote unquote aliens and bad aliens, and so it depends on which one you're in contact with. But as I said, most of these people, in the long run, have positive experiences because it's a journey. It's a spiritual journey. Not a religious thing. It's a spiritual journey that these people are on because they come out of this the other end in a better place. Especially if they find that they've gotten the help that they needed to understand it better and to be able to integrate it in their lives. I was going to tell you another story about a healing. I was flying back from a MUFON symposium in Virginia, and I was sitting next to. It turned out this woman was the head of the St. Jude Hospital.
Oh,
and we started chit-chatting, and she says, "So you going home?" I said, "Yeah." So anyway, I told her that I was at this UFO conference, and she said, "Really?" And so we got talking, and she started telling me this story about this woman. This was before she was the head of the St. Jude Hospital at a different hospital. She was scheduled for cancer surgery, and that morning that they went in to get her into surgery, she said to the doctor, she says, I don't need it anymore. I'm okay. And so they thought she was kind of freaking out. But they decided, okay, we're gonna double check anyway. And they took her in and did another X-ray, I guess, on her, and come to find out that it was gone. And so they asked her, said, "Well, what happened? Why did you say that you're okay?" She says, "Well, they came last night and they took care of it." So,
I'm like, who came?
yeah, who came?
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of stories like this that the medical community has, but a lot of it is suppressed simply because of the fact that it's not well accepted. And
Sure. I can see why it wouldn't be, right? It just seems, you Norb flew into you and you're okay now. Stephen Woodward. Hey, Stephen says, like I said, I've seen the Marfa light orbs many times. Very unexplainable.
Wow.
Yeah. Those are lights as opposed to orbs, but as she said, they're unexplainable, and that's something I have yet to go down and experience.
It's fascinating. And the idea of time loss and what time is, I think, and I'm just throwing this out there, I think personally that time is a human experience. That these things don't really matter so much when you get outside of the realm of humanity. I've had astral projection experiences, and there's no real time when that's happening. Or if you have a lucid dream and you become aware that you're dreaming, and if you want to do something, you do something. It's all very instantaneous. There's no, I need to walk around the back of the house to get the grill and make a steak. You got your steak.
That's right.
So I have to think that, for them, the others, and this also carries into ghost phenomena, that there's no sense of time. I don't think it matters. It's more about the intent. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a head scratcher, and we try to understand it. The big topic now is consciousness, and what is that? Who can really define consciousness?
Right.
And we're in a big matrix, or there's, strings theory says that there can be 10, 13, 26 different universes out there.
Yes.
Right? The multiverse theories.
Yeah.
Simulation theory.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Levels of consciousness. I think anything can hold a consciousness. Now,
Yes.
I like we
Trees.
look into panpsychism.
Yeah.
As maybe a reason for inanimate or inert matter to hold a consciousness, right? When you talk about like haunted objects or haunted novels, for very hot, right? And
well, if you break it all down, into, it's all molecular. There's electrons,
Neutrons.
and so we're made up of all that stuff. So you want to talk to a rock, okay?
Right.
So, communicate. Matter of fact, excuse me, I made this rock the other day.
Oh, that's really cool.
I love it.
I love that.
Listening, there's a big yellow face on this sort of rock-like creature. Just looking at us.
That's neat.
That's really neat.
Yeah, I'm into ceramics too.
That's great.
But,
it does seem feasible to me that if we're the same matter as a tree, as a stick, and essentially the same stuff.
Pen, anything.
Why could consciousness not maybe inhabit it, even if it's only temporary? Right? I mean, I certainly, a caterpillar has consciousness, or cat has consciousness. We all have levels of consciousness, and it's different for everybody, most likely. But even a clock on your mantle may tick a little different, I think, and be able to be a vessel for that consciousness.
That energy that we're made out of doesn't disappear. It just goes out into the ether and then comes back maybe in a different form, or in a different universe, or depending.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't die. I mean, so folks, don't worry about dying. You're not going to die. Your energy, your essence is still going to go on.
Go on, yes. I definitely agree.
Shay says her phone might die. Well,
yeah, you needed the other phone, Shay. We discussed this yesterday.
You plug it in and breathe a little life into that phone, and come right back to us, and it may even talk to you. So,
but that reminds me, like sending energy. I've been remotely healed. I had a back problem, and one of the members of the support group is a healer in Canada, and we did a session, about a half an hour session, and it was amazing. I felt 100% better after that session. And how is that possible?
Right, like a Reiki through distance, right?
Yeah, through distance.
Long distance healing has been a thing. It's been in the New Age world, and love and light, and certainly in occultism as well. The ideas of sympathetic magic and stuff like that.
Right.
And again, it gets back to those intents, right? And it does play a role with our aliens, if the quote unquote aliens, right?
Yeah, I was just at this MUFON symposium in Las Vegas, and one of the people there was one of the presenters, found out that he and his wife were both abducted, and shortly thereafter, she became an empath and a healer. And it is incredibly common for this kind of thing to happen. And if these aliens, let's call them the good guys, have that ability, and they're doing this to us, what's the end game? If we're producing a lot of healers and empaths. I'm afraid to keep secrets. You won't be able to keep the secret.
Something that we, I don't think it's just about being nice guys.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Although we do have a medical community, we're nice to each other, but I feel like there's something else that they get from us or want, and maybe we just don't see it. Maybe we create some kind of energy or
that they feed off of,
keeping the planet going.
Yes,
that is beneficial to them in some way we don't yet know.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're not at the top of the food chain, and that's part of this thing that's going on. That we think we are, but in reality we're not. And so there's this whole nother level or multiple levels above us that are interacting constantly. And what's their agenda? Is it to manipulate us and create a better human, a super sapien, or is it some lab experiment that's going on?
The zoo theory. That's what they call that. The zoo theory.
Yeah. And
animal.
Yeah, exactly. And we do the same thing. You take a dolphin out of its environment, and then you take its blood and you tag him, and then you throw him back in the water, and a year later you come back and get him again because you want to see what's going on with him again. You take his blood, you check the tag.
Right.
I've said before, I feel like we're the antelope, like out in the plains of Africa, and the antelope doesn't get up that day and say, "Oh, I know there's a lion around the tree," right? Things just happen, you don't realize it. It's almost like they're fishing for us in a way. We see roles a lot in the paranormal, and things taking on roles,
stepping into roles.
The little girl in the haunted cemetery, or the woman in white, and a lot of the common themes over and over. And it's almost like throwing bait out in the water, and they want to
fishing.
Give them attention, give us your focus. For us, it puts us like in a rabbit hole trying to understand the haunting or phenomena that maybe occurred. And then we're all focused on it, which I feel like that gives it an energy,
Exactly. It gives it more of an energy because we're energy and we're
sure.
And we can't see it. And, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
And, rays of electromagnetic energy of light or whatever that our eyes just don't see, or maybe subtle energy form.
Like you said, it has a lot to do with quantum mechanics, and as we're going into that,
things happening on a particle level with the electrons.
Right.
Obviously, we don't understand all of quantum mechanics. We just know it kind of works, right?
Like you said, string theory. There's different kinds, and
the infrared ability to be able to track these objects. These gun camera videos that have been released. It's incredible that they're able to basically cloak themselves in a way that it is only visible in the infrared or some other type of detection
gadget.
Yes, exactly.
We don't know what goes around in the gamma spectrum. Could walk right by us. Look at dark matter, right? Dark matter passing through the earth at all times. We don't feel it. We don't know it. We can measure it. We don't know what the hell it is.
Exactly.
But there it is.
Exactly.
Gravitational pulls and different things, the way they measure that.
And this is one thing that is really interesting to me, is whether or not we will ever be able to understand this phenomena from the scientific standpoint. Maybe certainly our physics is not where it needs to be at this point to understand perhaps maybe the propulsion systems of these things. Although I had lunch with Lou Elizondo, actually, along with Terry Lovelace, couple of years ago before COVID shut everything down, and basically he said that they figured out how these things work. and
Yeah.
it's probably going to come out. I think he's in the process of coming out with a book that's going to be released, I think, in November, if I heard correctly.
Wow.
And
You want to
there's
read
going to
that?
be some pretty interesting revelations in there about that. But be that as it may, I think that the abduction phenomena is something that's the next step that we need to be thinking about, because who's driving these things? Who's running the show, and what is that all about? And I'm not so sure that we'll ever be able to figure it out.
I'm right with you there. Yes. We're trying so hard, and I don't know, like you said, if our physics and mechanics, our science are there yet, even figure it out. I'm right with you.
Right. We just don't
Yeah.
know what we're doing enough with
Yeah.
it.
We're trying. All of us are trying like heck, but
Right. And
You know,
book is called the
Yeah.
unknown other and existential, excuse me. I knew I was going to mess that word up. Existential proposition of alien
you're
contact.
talking about that, yeah.
And
there you go.
excellent. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool cover. I like
Yeah,
that.
I like the cover. Whoa.
Tell us a little bit about the book. I know we're kind of going into a lot of different directions.
Yeah, the book was basically something to highlight the nonprofit organization Opus, Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support, but in that process, also talking about the individuals. There's 33 stories in there of people that are in the online support group, and we talk about things like the implants in a section, the physical traits, the psychological traits, the automatic writing that goes on, which is very prevalent. The implants we talked about earlier. So we try to go down through the list of items that these people have experienced, and then also talking about some of the studies. The omega-3 study is in the book that I highlighted a while ago, and we talk about the UAP report is in there as well, and basically it's sort of a reaching out to people to say, hey, this is a phenomena, that is real. These people don't have a psychopathology. Here are the traits that are going on, the marks on the body, type of a thing. And it's something that we need to look at more closely, especially in light of the fact that the government now has, revealed the fact that, yes, we're in contact with these things, and we still don't know what they are. They're not the Russians. We don't think they're not the Chinese. But, we can't say that they're alien either. Of course, they can't say that they aren't aliens.
Right.
So Nick Pope was at the MUFON symposium, and he stood up there and said, I hope it is either the Russians or the Chinese, because we could always pick up the phone and talk to these people. And I cornered him later, and I said, Nick, you're missing a big point here, that we have people that can communicate with the aliens. They're the experiencers. They're telepathically talking to them all the time.
Actually.
So he kind of had a laugh over that. Anyway, so I try to cover a lot of bases, and then had the stories of these people and their experiences, and I think it's the kind of book that experiencers would find very, very helpful in understanding that they're not alone, and that they have other people that have had similar circumstances.
Yeah. Do you see any correlations with a person's religious background or cultural background in today's world in abduction? Do they any kind of symbiology that resonates through the abduction experience?
Right now, I'm not seeing any kind of religious manifestation going on right now. Although they feel, most people feel, as I said in that omega-3 report, that they believe that there is some sentient higher power that is going on, and whether you call it God or the Creator or Buddha or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, there's no specific handle on it, so I wouldn't call it a religion. It's more of a spiritual type of
Mhm.
a situation that's happening, and so I don't see like a religious movement like the what was that group that killed all their people?
Oh Lord, yes, I forgot
Yeah,
the name of it right now, but we
right.
know, yeah.
And it's
yeah,
like possession cases. You see things like maybe it's anti-Christian, or maybe it's some kind of ancient sort of Hebrew Kabbalah type symbiology resonates through that possession
no,
or something, and that kind of stuff. You don't really see that so much in
no.
the ufology. Yet I do think the experiences often are the same. The poltergeist like activity, um, dream states, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that again, depending upon your upbringing. I mean, I was raised a Roman Catholic, and of course I haven't practiced that in years and years because I don't believe a lot of the dogma. So
Neither
I think that it's something that most of these people, there's no real religious symbolic ties or anything like that that are going on. They've moved past that in most cases.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's fascinating. Some of the abductee phenomena with the stealing of unborn children.
Yes.
Is that something you see? What do you hear about this? About
Yeah,
taking the baby, making a
the
hybrid,
the
stealing the blood?
fetus is being taken.
And like 3 months or something. Yeah.
I had a woman come up to me. I presented the Saturday morning at the symposium to the experiencer group. We had about 50 people in there. And a lady came up to me afterwards and said that she has, had babies taken, and that they came back and they, hybridized. And she showed me a picture of one of her babies that she believes is a hybrid, and he looked unusual. He did look unusual to me. My there's a book out called Rachel's Eyes that talks about the daughter of this woman, Helen Luttrell, whose daughter actually went to school with supposedly a hybrid. And she was extremely unusual, and that the military was involved with bringing her food to eat, which was again highly unusual. It's an unbelievable book. If you want to get a read on hybrids, that is a hell of a book.
I just wrote it down.
Okay, yeah, I will.
I write everything
we'll
down.
check that out later.
That's what I do.
That's like I said before the show, it's our joy. We get to talk to so many interesting people and get different perspectives, and
You are just
we do read their books. We'll get your
fascinating.
book, or into it. I want to know. We want to know the hows and whys of everything.
Yes.
Sure.
That's our real goal.
Absolutely.
It exists. We know it exists.
Absolutely.
I don't have to convince you. I don't have to convince you.
We
just need to know the hows.
We've been in the paranormal for a long time, and then it's
Yeah.
things that just science does not explain this well.
Nope.
It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
We're now talking about panpsychism and
Panpsychism, yeah, is an explanation that everything can
pan
have
is everything.
a consciousness because of
Right.
basic building blocks of our world.
Life.
It seems
Self.
like it can permeate just about anything.
Right.
Man, that's fascinating. That's
So
fascinating.
what about you? What do you think about hybrids? Do you think that are they around us now? Do you think they're walking around and
Like her book was
saying
They're supposedly they are, and I still I guess I need to be convinced a little bit more in that direction. However, people that claim that they are hybrids. I've known a couple of people that claim that, and one woman, Cynthia Crawford, who has since passed away, um, her internal organs were in wrong places.
Really?
Yeah, and so there's one case that I got involved with, but yeah, jury's out kind of for me yet, still, but from really good sources, I've heard that hybrids are being hybridized even further to, you're not going to be able to tell by just, they're not going to have funny eyes, they're not going to have a funny nose or something like that. They're going to look just like you and me, and you won't be able to tell them apart from us.
Now, you mentioned that you saw what may have been a hybrid before, and you said it looked unusual. I wondered, in what way did the child look unusual? And I think it's a child.
It was a elongated head that was sort of that gray type of a oval, type of a face, and larger eyes. And so it kind of creeped me out.
I bet.
That does sound a little bit freaking.
Now, when you go to that and you think about that, if it had a long, elongated head, you think about the Peruvians, and they had the elongated skulls.
The elongated
skulls. Terry, wasn't it Terry that brought out the props with the elongated skull?
That was L.A. Marzulli.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he actually.
L.A. Marzulli has one, and it
skull
was just like,
replicas
it
and
was
stuff.
insane.
That's pretty cool. And I know a lot of people say that was through like a binding of the skull, but
some of them,
sometimes
they don't
you look
have
at
the
it and you go,
suture, so, and it's really weird. The base of the neck doesn't match ours.
There's some details that kind of contradicted that.
Well, so much has been suppressed over the years that people have found, archaeologists have found, and it just gets buried, literally.
It's mainstream. They don't want to talk about it. They call it pseudoscience, and I can't, because I love ancient Civ and I talk about it all the time, and and it's like you said, swept under the rug.
Yeah, and that's why, again, not to hop on panpsychism, but we like philosophy because it seems to lay the groundwork of things that people will eventually study. So we're more,
you take a look at the structures at Sacsayhuaman in Peru, those giant rocks that are fit together
perfectly.
It's like, how the hell did they do that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right now, I love Göbekli Tepe. That is.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Oh, there's a bunch of tepes now. There's like 14 of them.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
What were they doing? And
how did they know?
What are those ghosts like? And what kind of experiences were they having?
I asked that. That was a good question. A long time ago, I said, if we were in Turkey and I brought out like a recorder or a spirit box, would they talk to us in Turkish, or would they talk to us in English?
I told her they would talk in clicks and clacks. I think what it is, is they are able to talk to us when we have that kind of phenomenon of capturing electronic voice phenomenon in our own language, or something that we understand. One of the people we follow, I like her work, is Annabella Cardoso, who is this woman from Spain. She's Portuguese, and she listens to a shortwave radio, and it doesn't sweep bands or anything. She just has the radio on there in the static, and she gets legit, voices that come across, and they speak to her in Portuguese, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Because that's what she speaks.
Right.
And, and it's not passing stations or anything. There's no movement. She's trying to rule all those things out, that the paranormal community a lot of times embraces. And honestly, I do think it helps to have a little bit of noise, maybe voices or even little snippets of voices in there
for the
them
energy
to work with.
Yeah.
But it also kind of contaminates the data. So I understand her point too. But, it's very diligent, and we'll just listen. And that intent on the box, I think, is like a magnet or some kind of beacon to something, the others, maybe, that they see you trying to communicate, and that they get, and see these experiences after multiple experiences. It's like, once they know that this person you can hear us, hey, we're coming
Right.
back. We're going to come see you again. That's
Well,
all.
I think that, people that talk, that have lost a loved one or something, and often, they do hear them. They'll be at the sink washing dishes or something. Next thing they know, they hear a voice and they turn around and they don't see anything, but they definitely heard, their late husband or their late wife or somebody like that. So, I totally believe that, that's possible. And, I believe in ghosts. If I can believe what I'm doing, I can certainly believe in ghosts.
It seems feasible, that something goes on past death, and
Yeah.
that was, maybe an initial factor for us getting into this, the proof of an afterlife, and
Right.
Mhm.
which we've done, but now it's more like the hows and whys. Why does this stuff happen?
Yeah.
And, what is going on?
Well, that's the same kind of question with the alien abduction. Is why, how, all the usual questions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now Saul Smiley says I could smell my mother's flowers when she's
Well,
around.
Yeah, and that's really good because my brother. Okay, listen to this story. My brother, when he lives in Connecticut, and he was living in a house that was built in the 1700s that he refurbished, and and so this one night, his wife was coming home with a, both her arms were full of groceries, and she came to the side door and said, Mark, open up the door. And he didn't move, and he's sitting in this big wingback chair in this part of the house. And so finally, after he didn't respond, she puts the bags down and walks in and says, Mark, why didn't you come and open up the door? And it's not Mark sitting in the chair.
Oh,
It's a ghost. And
Wow.
and so there is a male and there was a female ghost that lived in the house. And every time the female would show up, you could smell jasmine.
oh wow.
And
You knew she was there.
so after these stories, and I got to sleep there one night.
Oh boy.
And so I'm in bed, and I'm just over 6 foot tall, and my feet were sticking out a little bit on the end. And so I decided to pull them in.
Yeah.
Just got into this fetal position because I pulled the covers over my head.
Yeah.
I didn't want to deal with it. But yeah,
We understand that.
Concerned myself. So,
but yeah, they've had footsteps coming down from the upstairs, coming down, and then there wouldn't be anybody there. All the usual, I guess, ghost type antics.
Those
But
aren't uncommon. Symptoms of these kind of haunted experiences. I had that as a child myself. We used to hear footsteps coming up from the basement all the time, and a baby crying in the basement. My parents were down, and I had some other.
I actually have that in my house now. It was built in the 1700s, and I have a residual coming up and downstairs.
So my brother, and his wife, they sold the house, okay, and I guess there's a law that you're supposed to tell people that if you have a haunted house, and of course they didn't tell the person, and it was a little while later that after this person moved in and everything, they were at some gathering, and the woman was asking a neighbor, is this house haunted by any chance? Because I've had some. And so she started having issues.
Oh boy.
Yeah, lots of comments out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, Les. That's the wealth of information. Yeah, yes, he is.
Hi, Liz.
That is awesome.
Robert Reggie wants to be he said he would love to be abducted.
See,
tell him I'll arrange it.
There you go, Robert.
Just send him a Zoom invite.
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams. Here you go.
Sorry. We're off the trail here.
Oh my goodness.
Tammy Young says, I used to hear my doorbell ring in the middle of the night. I'd jump up, but my dog continued to sleep. Wow.
Oh,
You would
that-
think-
That is common. That is you might have had something going on. A lot of times, animals or your spouse is knocked out, and you can't wake them up. And next thing you know, you've probably had an abduction of some sort, or some kind of contact that was initiated. But the animal won't wake up, or the spouse won't wake up.
Oh man. Because I know animals, they usually are more in tuned with these types of beings,
yes.
things. So that right there is
it's kind of telling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, she was in that kind of half awake, half sleep state, you know.
Mhm.
I just think there's a certain vulnerability to abduction in those states because you just seem to be open to it.
Yeah.
And cats are very perceptive. They seem to tune in on things quicker than anything.
Everything.
They're amazing.
I have them, and I have one, and she's unbelievable. She meows. She knows.
Oh yeah.
Tara.
My cats will definitely.
Oh,
attend
your
as
cats
well.
did that the other day. Yeah.
I've got them on video reacting to things and then
Yeah.
having these, paranormal boxes, toy things around them going off. Marisol says, I believe that when people die, some remain in this realm between this and are able to communicate with their energy. I can see my dad too sometimes. She passed away 6 years ago.
Yeah. It's interesting that when this reincarnation happens too, that you may come back as, I've always wanted to come back as an eagle, at the top of the bird chain, so to speak.
Sure.
I think this is very real, absolutely real.
The older I get, the stronger my glasses get, and the more I wish I was an eagle as well, just so I could see a little better.
Or yeah, Falcon.
I could read my medicine bottle labels or something.
Oh, they make those things smaller and smaller every year. The letters.
They do. Why do they do that?
What good is the warning label if you can't read it?
Yeah. They keep coming up with more side effects.
Yes, that's true.
It's worse than if you just not take it.
It's true.
So
now,
overall, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask about his books.
Oh,
and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were saying overall.
I was going to say overall, these experiences seem to be more on the positive side. Is that what you have found in your studies that they tend to?
The initial phases, it's like there's 3 phases that generally happen. You have the first phase, which is generally traumatic to most people. Okay. And then eventually they become used to what's going on, and their fear factor is gone. And then in the later stages, when it stops, it's like the Stockholm syndrome. It's almost like, okay, how come they're not coming for me anymore? Why have they abandoned me? Mm-hmm. And depending upon how many experiences you have had, those people that have had probably over 10 experiences, and we find that they have a much more positive outlook on what's going on. Probably 80% do. Wow. And then there's the 20% that continue to have negative experiences and want it to stop. And we try to help them with that as well.
That's awesome.
How do you help them? Is it more like a consolation? Is it psychology?
What it is, we have a resource list of therapists that we can recommend, okay, depending upon where they are. And then we also, the online support group, believe it or not, has proved to be probably the most effective vehicle for them and prove most beneficial to these people, because once they're in the group, they understand that people are telling stories just like what they've encountered. And that takes a giant weight off of them. And so a lot of people don't even need to progress beyond that because then it reduces the stress. They have God, I'm having a problem with this word today. Empathic people, not empathic. They're, but anyway, people that understand what's going on, folks. And they also understand that it's something that they're okay at the end of all of these things. Yeah, they may have an implant, they may have marks on their body, but they're okay. And so the big question is, what is it? Who are they? Why are they doing this?
So it's a little like an AA meeting, but instead of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's an abductee or something like that. Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm an abductee. That kind of thing. And
it basically we asked them to tell their story. We asked them to tell their story to the group, right. and then to ask any questions they may have, and they will get immediate responses from the group, which is very effective. And we have close to 300 people now from around the world, literally from around the world. We have people from Australia on there, from the UK, from South America, South Africa, even, in Portugal. That are talking about this topic. And then every once in a while we have a Zoom meeting and for people, and that can get a little hectic, but I'm in there refereeing and trying to answer the questions as best I can, because we don't have all the answers. I mean, it
must feel good, because you must feel very alone. You have some kind of mutant thing going on, or it feels mutant to you if you bump and you're like, there's an implant, there's something in there, or I had this experience I really can't explain. It's not like you can go to work and over the water cooler talk about what I was abducted last night, and they probed me in ways I don't know what to tell you, but let me tell you, it was something.
Right. And it's great that you have a group like this.
Yeah, they need a group.
Yes.
They need other people that they can relate to.
And that's, you hit the nail right on the head. There's not a lot of groups out there that are doing this or have been doing this since 1994. It all came about one day. I got a call from a woman down in Carmel, California, saying, I'd like to know what's going on with my brain waves when I'm in touch with these off-earthly entities. Well, I heard that and I said, okay. And then she mentioned that she was working with an emergency room doctor down in Carmel. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And I have a doctor friend who is the co-founder of our group, Dr. Eugene Lipson. And he was always looking for other doctors that were interested in this phenomena. And so I called him up and I said, let's go down there and talk to this lady. And we walked into her house, and there was a picture on the wall, and it was her standing on the back of this yacht. And so I kind of just said, oh, that looks like fun. Where's that? She said, oh, it's in the Caribbean. I said, oh, what were you doing down there? And well, I was helping these treasure hunters. Really? I said, how did you do that? He says, well, I was in touch with the captain of the galleon that went down. And I said, okay. So she had a near-death experience. And this is another phenomenon that's very much tied in, connected with all of this. When she was younger, and after that, she became very psychic. And so she's had these ongoing experiences, contacts with various entities. And anyway, make a long story short, we came away from that weekend. And she also told us stuff about herself that there was no possible way she could know, because we didn't know her from Adam. Wow. And we came away, so how can we help people like that? So that afternoon, we decided to, put together this nonprofit organization, and that's when Opus got started.
It's fascinating.
It really is. It's wonderful.
It's a good example. Actually, my next question to you is going to be, what is the most pronounced PK or psychokinetic or psychic type ability that an abductee had gained since an abduction? And that's certainly got to be one of them.
Oh, yes. Yes, psychic ability, telepathic ability, empathic ability, healing ability. Those are probably the top ones. Psychokinesis, that's more rare, but
Actually moving objects.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but you've seen that
yeah,
abductees be able to move objects with their mind.
yeah, and that's less common, but it's certainly out there. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. They say we only use 10% of our brain, so what the hell is going on with the rest of it?
Exactly.
And maybe this is somehow being energized after these experiences.
It's very true.
Oh, that is fantastic. That's super cool.
Absolutely.
It's
You're very interesting. We loved.
Yeah, we love
having
this. Our
fun.
audience is really enjoying this. Your
Yes.
book is called "The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact." Where can people find that book?
Well, you can go to our website, opusnetwork.org, and you'll see a picture. The homepage has a picture of the book right on it. Just click on that, it takes you to Amazon, and you're done. It's available on Kindle as well. If you're a Kindle Prime person, it's free.
Yeah, that's why I looked at him. I'm like, oh, it's cool. We can go read this.
Hurry up, sign up.
Yep. No, we're going to download it now and go read it. Really.
Well, it's been fascinating. I've
Yes,
loved our
thank
discussion.
you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys. I really had fun here today, and
Love your
I
message.
enjoyed your show very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. And we really appreciate you coming on. Sorry
Mhm.
about the rocky start, but it seems like we got going pretty well. So
Oh yeah, perfect. And the lightning storm didn't knock me out.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
we're
That's
so
right. I
connected.
was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, oh, God.
Well, that
Well-
is awesome. And we very much appreciate it. Next week, we have psychic medium Jim Hunt on, I believe, from Knock Knock Ghost, I think is the name of that show. And that's about all the time we have for today.
Yes.
So we appreciate it. Thank you, everybody out in
Thank
chat, Matt and Shay, and everyone joining us, and all your
Deb.
comments really made it for us. We appreciate it.
Robert,
We'll see you next week.
Matt. Yeah. Thank you again.
Bye bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.